Like, how many Big Brother people can you remember over the years? Let's go through the names now. So for some reason, Hot Dogs is like the first name that I can remember.
Say that. So Sarah
Hot
Marie.
Dogs.
Sarah Marie. Shout out
Okay.
to Sarah Marie with the bum dance.
We've got 2, Sarah Marie.
Yeah.
Oh, Oats La La Layla. Oats La La Layla.
Oats a la layla. Oats a la layla.
Welcome to Onboard For Delivery.
Tim, just by the whatever, the third house in June 2 that we were talking about earlier was Ordos.
Ordos.
So it was Harkonnen, Atreides, and Ordos.
Ordos. That sounds... Yeah, of course. This, what were they called? The Devious? Or they had the Deviator? Or they had some sort of weapon, some sort of mass destructional weapon.
The Devastator.
The Devastator. That might have been Harkonnen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee, that brings back lots of memories.
Yeah, do you remember Borders Books in Geelong, the city? Do you remember Borders Books? It was a massive bookshop, took up the whole level 1 and 2 of the shopping centre. They were a great bookshop, and they closed down like a few months after they opened.
I do. I think that was like a pickup joint, wasn't it? You go to some people go to the nightclubs, but if you want one of the librarian type or intelligent type people, you go to Borders Books and get a coffee, talk about books.
I was going to ask you actually, because we were talking earlier today, how are you going on Grindr?
Pretty well.
Are we recording?
Oh my goodness. No, it was an experimental phase, and no, I've never been on Grindr.
You will do anything to audition for Big Brother, let me tell you. Do you remember Big Brother 2020 has just aired on TV just recently, and Chad was obviously the one of the contestants, because this is a spoiler-free zone. Just want to point that out there. But do you remember, like, it's been a long time since we've had a Big Brother. I've got a Big Brother, obviously, on the other end of the call here. But
if you know what I mean.
Do you remember Big Brother back in the day when it first came out, and how exciting it was to just watch people in a home?
Exactly. Well, can you, Paul, remember, like, how many Big Brother people can you remember over the years? Let's go through the names now. So for some reason, Hot Dogs is like the first name that I can remember.
Say that. So Sarah
Hot
Marie.
Dogs.
Sarah Marie, shout out to Sarah Marie with the bum dance.
We've got 2, Sarah Marie.
Yeah.
Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie. Yeah, I did an event with Reggie not too long ago. She wasn't too well actually, and we were there to help raise some money for her. But Reggie. We got Trevor. Trevor had the dreadlocks.
Oh yeah, Trevor.
He was from the Western Australia.
Yep. Marty and Jess. So there's another 2. We're up to 6.
Oh, are they still together? Were they a couple?
They broke up recently, would you believe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was looking up Bachelor news, and all of a sudden it said other things you may be interested in. Yeah.
They were great. Gordon,
the spiky hair.
He's actually no longer with us. So
oh really? I didn't.
May he rest in peace. And we've got Blair. He was on the first. I think he's on Home and Away or one of those shows now.
Yeah, Blair, Chrissy Swan, Fitzy. That's 10.
Fitzy.
That's 10.
Do you remember they had that year? I'm not sure if it was a theme, but there was a millionaire. Maybe that was Trevor. No, it wasn't Trevor. There was a millionaire on the show, and they had to try to work out who it was.
I vaguely remember that. Do you remember Johnny? Johnny Rotten. Like, he was like the nice. He was in season 1. He was like the nice guy that would give everyone hugs. He would vote for them, nominate them, then he'd give them hugs. And he was probably a nice guy, but he came across on the TV as this villain, this two-faced villain, Johnny Rotten.
Yeah, Johnny. I remember Johnny.
So we're up to 12.
Ben?
Yeah, Ben. He won it.
I think. Well, this is a spoiler-free zone for those wondering, but he was in the top 1 of I think season 1.
Yeah, it was early on. The winners you do notice the winners were always the most boring person.
Yeah.
Because it was always about voting somebody out, and you vote out the obnoxious people, the annoying people. But the person just goes about their business and doesn't do much. They end up winning the show. So Ben won season 1, and there was another Ben-like character. His name might have even been Ben. He won.
Tim. Remember Tim Dormer? There was this guy, I've forgotten his name, redhead, and his first thing he did, he walked into the house, had a look around, he's like, "Where's the toilet?"
I do vaguely remember that.
First thing is, remember, where's the toilet?
Yep. Oh, Oats La La Layla. Oats La La Layla.
Oats La La Layla. Oats La La Layla.
We're a bit out of sync with the Zoom here, but how can we remember that all these years later?
I was watching that on YouTube the other day. I was watching and funnily enough, I was watching it to see what sort of cameras they were using, and it looked like it was recorded on a home camcorder. It was terrible footage in terms of quality, but that song is just... I hope it gets stuck in your head, folks, because it's been stuck in my head the last 3 weeks.
If you know what I mean.
Oats a la Layla, oats a la Layla. Put it in a pot, and put some milk in.
But I liked what you did there, Paul. You segued into technology because, once again, this is a tech podcast, in case you're wondering. We talk about technology, and we're available on Spotify, YouTube, and all other popular podcast networks. And... yeah, the technology of Big Brother has changed dramatically. Yeah, those the early footage they had was just shocking, and now it's pretty advanced technology. So
4K actually, I think, which is good. But this season of Big Brother was very different from other seasons. It was very much Survivor-esque, which is another TV show that we love. Did you watch last season of Survivor?
Oh, I love Survivor. If you're a fan of Survivor, give us a thumb us down below, because Survivor's so good. The Australian Survivor is better than the American one.
Yeah.
It was funny because the person that won Australian Survivor, spoiler alert in case you haven't watched the last season, but his name was David. He was a supermodel. He was this international supermodel. He went to the island wearing a leather jacket. The most important piece of gear when you're going onto an island and you're there for survival, you need to look good in your leather jacket. But David, he used to lie. He was cunning. He would scheme. I was watching with my daughter, and she's like, "He lied. I can't believe it. He lied." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's good, isn't it? He's so good. I love this guy. He's so awesome." And yeah, so you can see the moral compass in our household. But Paul actually got me for my birthday. Would you believe? He got me a David T-shirt. David from Survivor.
The Golden God.
So I've got a Golden God. I should wear it on the podcast. I'll wear it next week on the podcast. So I got the Golden God podcast. And not only that, but Paul contacted a celebrity, and he got a celebrity to give me a birthday video call. And basically Paul, he organised it all, and then Paul came around. This is pre-lockdown days, and he wanted to film my reaction. So Paul held his phone up to me, and I clicked on the link on my phone, and I'm watching this video. This bearded guy, this sort of old, weathered-looking bearded guy, and he's going, "G'day, Tim. Happy birthday. Yeah, I heard you a bit of a germaphobe." And I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this person? I didn't even recognize the guy. And it turned out it was the Commando, from The Biggest Loser, and because I've always been in the fitness, and Paul
Commando Steve.
Yeah, Commando Steve, and Paul put all this thought into it and thought, well, he's into fitness, so why don't we get someone that's a famous fitness person to give a birthday wish? And so Commando Steve, I didn't recognize the guy. I haven't watched The Biggest Loser for a decade, but I really appreciate it. Once I realized who it was, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. And so Commando Steve said to me, he goes, "Okay, I want you to get down and give me 30 burpees." And I'm like, oh, easy. I'm gonna show him. I'm like, he's probably not gonna watch this, but I'm just gonna show him. I pride myself on my fitness. I can do this. And I'd just done a workout already, and I was puffed, and I'm like, 30 burpees, easy. So I got to about 13, 14. I'm like, this sucks. This sucks. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just do 15 and pause the video, come back to it later. And I never did, actually. I did the 15 and I think you ended up sending it back to him, Paul. Was that right?
I did. He was bitterly disappointed in the fact that you couldn't get, in fact, Tim, I'll call you out on this. You told me it was the first half and I haven't received the second half yet.
Well, the camera just stopped working.
I did it now.
Yeah, I'd been already recording lots of home videos, if you know what I mean, and just ran out of space, unfortunately. Now, Paul, last week, there was a new segment on the show, and we have been inundated during the week with people writing in, calling in. I got a text message during the day from a nun saying, I totally agree with what Paul was saying. Paul was pissed. He was pissed at Microsoft for releasing a online-only console and then making games extremely expensive and basically taking away that second-hand market where you can buy games cheaper and really just not giving consumers what they want. So Paul was pissed. Now that segment, the ratings went, the ratings were okay. I mean, we're averaging about 10 views per week, but...
and 8 of those are just us.
Yeah, 8 of them are just us. So, but the ratings were quite good. So Paul, is there anything this week? Actually, no. I'm not. No, I'm gonna try to incite Paul to be pissed.
I'm good. There's not really much I'm pissed about this week.
You're pretty relaxed. You're pretty chill. You're pretty chill. Okay. Well, we had one of our super fans write in during the week. His name's Phil. So shout out to Phil. And Phil said, how can you be a podcast and not even mention the latest Nvidia video card, the flagship video card that is changing the game? It's just come out, this new video card that will make games like Flight Sim, which by the way Paul's running, and that's, the frame rate's a little bit slow on Paul's machine, and making those games run buttery smooth. And Phil said, how could you not even mention this? And I said to Phil, okay, you don't realize that we actually film these podcasts weeks in advance from when they actually air. It takes us weeks to edit the footage and put it together. So we're actually filming this we're filming this weeks earlier. So we are actually on the ball, if you know what I mean. And Nvidia released this brand new video card, Paul. So are you excited about the news? How cool is it? In fact, I think the price is a bit cheaper than the old model, and it's way more powerful. So you must be excited because you're out of the two of us, you're the gamer of the two. So what do you think about this new video card that Nvidia have brought out?
Well, Tim, I'm not as pissed as I am upset. Okay? About 2 months ago, I thought to myself, let's treat myself. Let's buy a graphics card. One of my close friends told me that Nvidia hadn't, released any news on some new graphics cards, so it's good to upgrade now while the market was soft. So I went and bought the top of the range Nvidia 2080 graphics card. And to be honest, not one game that I wanted to play on it, I can play with the highest graphics on Ultra. It still struggles to get me through those games, including Microsoft Flight Sim and Red Dead Redemption 2 and a few other games like that. And then I find out that Nvidia have this little secret they've been hiding from us, where not only did they release graphics cards that are twice as powerful as what I've got, but also half the damn price. I'm pissed. I'm upset. I remember talking during the week about this to you, and I was fuming on the phone to you, and you were like, this is great. This would be great for the podcast. Yeah, talk on the podcast, Paul. I'm like, no, I'm just so... I can't even sell it because the graphics card that I've got is basically half price online now because these companies know that they're not going to be able to sell them at full price because the 3090 and the 3080 and the 30 who gives a crap is going to come out cheaper. So I can't even sell it secondhand to upgrade. I'm pissed.
Okay, folks. Well, so Paul, but here's the thing though. Okay, so you're pissed.
What's the thing, Tim?
Well, so this is a tech podcast. Okay, do you
Yeah.
agree? Does everyone agree this is a tech podcast? We are
Yes, it is. Yes.
experts on tech, if you know what I mean. And this has not been a secret though, Paul. Nvidia have been talking about this. I didn't do the research because Phil did the research for me, and Phil said you would have to be hiding under a rock not to know that Nvidia were planning this. This has been in the tech news, given that we are a tech podcast and we do our tech research. This has been in the news. Everyone's known about this for months. Anyone worth their salt would know. So how would you respond to Phil?
Phil, mate. Let me talk to Phil for a minute. Okay? Phil. I have no words I don't know what to say to him, except for the fact if you think you can do it better, then where's your podcast? Where's your camera? Where's your A6400? Where's your Elgato straight? Where have you got a 20? Where's your 2080? Let me see your 2080, because mine is bigger.
I don't want to see Phil's
I've got nothing.
or Paul's 2080. I don't want to see either of those 2080s.
In fact, I think it's a 2080 Super, just to put it out there. But look, I'm pissed, but we need to move on. And I want to talk about something that's a little bit more lighthearted and a bit more exciting that's happened in my week, Tim, because I need to calm down. Now, it was Father's Day just recently, and one of the gifts that I got, very stoked about, I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Battery goes flat all the time, especially I use it for work and, you know, all sorts of things that I'm using it for. And it goes flat really quick. So my family bought me basically an iPhone case that has a battery built in. So it basically, my phone uses the battery from the case, and when the case goes flat, then it kicks in and uses the phone battery. So I haven't had to charge my phone throughout the day for the last week. It's really good. I've got so much battery life. I'm loving life at the moment. But a bit more positive for the tech podcast, as it were.
That actually reminds me, many years ago, a couple episodes ago, we had a Father's Day special. I mean, we reminisced about some of the games that we played with our dad, and you know, kicking his butt in Command and Conquer and destroying his base and so forth. I remember one Father's Day, we all saved up for a gift. So we all thought, you know, he's kind of getting into fitness a little bit, so we thought let's go down that path. Now Dad was like us. He loved his technology. He loved batteries, anything you plug in. That's what he loved. So this year we got him this gift, and it was huge. It was like, I don't know if you'll pick this up on the camera. It was about a meter long, and it was about this thick. About 30 centimeters thick. So it's a pretty big, you know, like you'd have to carry it on your shoulder like this. It's massive unit. And he was so excited when he saw it was all wrapped up, and he's like, "Oh, here we go!" Like, he thought it was going to be like a big sort of ghetto blaster type stereo system. This is back in the days when, you know, those things were still around, probably the early 90s. And he's getting so excited. He's like, "Here we go!" He's unwrapping it, and it was a boxing bag. So it was basically a bag of padding. So he went from this, thinking he was getting this ghetto blast with the extra sub bass, to getting a big bag of padding. And I just remembered he tried to be happy, but you could just tell he was disappointed. So yeah, that just reminded me, Paul, of that memory as a kid.
Look, most gifts these days, a boxing bag is essentially a box of padding. A fish tank is a box of water. Chip packets are a bag of air. Most good things these days are full of nothing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, speaking of, actually, Tim, let's not forget, did you watch The Bachelor tonight?
I haven't watched The Bachelor. I'm actually going to catch up. So
Yeah.
I've missed the episodes this week,
Yeah, okay.
and I will catch up. So no spoilers.
No, this is a spoiler-free zone, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't know, I'm actually quite enjoying it, because Lockie on The Bachelor was on Survivor, and I love Survivor. I wonder if they're going to release more episodes of that now that COVID's sort of taken over. I know that you can stream most of the older, series online, but Anyway,
Well, I heard they might even do an Australia versus US Survivor. And that would be
right.
awesome. Because some of the people on the Australian Survivor, like David, he was awesome. He was just the most... He lied, he cheated, he was cunning.
sounds like The Bachelor, Tim.
Yeah. He could make... I think he would be the perfect bachelor if he wasn't married and had several kids. But... yeah, those are the people we gravitate to. And who else was on Survivor? There was
Luke Toki, he was good.
Luke.
Creepin', keep on creeping.
Dirty
He was
Harry.
great.
I love Dirty Harry. He was hilarious.
Dirty Harry. Janine from Boost Juice. She was an underdog. She was great.
I love the rivalry between Janine and Harry.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Abby, the footballer. The female footballer. I thought she was entertaining.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Harry had that where he had that toothpick in his mouth all the time when he was doing things, and even one of my kids, Parker, he occasionally puts a toothpick in his mouth and starts mimicking Harry. It's great.
Whenever I see someone with a toothpick, you know who I think of? Razor Ramon. So if you get that reference, do you remember the
Wrestling.
Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels ladder match? WrestleMania, or which one was it? It was at one of the WrestleManias. If you know, thumbs down below and give us a comment. Which WrestleMania was Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels? I know Ryan and Jason, I'm looking at you guys. I know you will know the answer to this off the top of your head. But they revolutionized. It wasn't the first ladder match, but they revolutionized it. They climbed to the top of the ladder and they'd fall down and they'd land on their balls. It was just so entertaining. This is classic TV from the day. So yeah, that's what I think of. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels, early days of wrestling.
So you've got the what is it? The Shure SM7B mic rocking there. And what I can't see your headphones are the Bayer. You're using the Bayer headphones, are you?
I am. I just love the ear cups. They're just so comfy.
Yeah.
So we haven't touched on these devices for many weeks, Paul. We've been talking about so many other things technology related. We haven't had a chance to talk about the microphones and headphones. But
Well, this is a tech podcast. But well, you know what? We haven't spoken about whiskey since last episode. What's your whiskey of? I mean, whiskey is very new to me because I hate it and I can't drink it. But what goes through your mind when you're looking for a drink? Do you just go and open the cupboard and just grab whatever bottle's there, or do you go through one bottle until it's empty, or how do you pick which bottle you want on whatever night?
I like the variety, Paul.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I mean, I love the peated whiskies. They're the smoky ones. It's like licking an ashtray. It just tastes so good.
Oh, delicious.
And
Sounds
yeah,
great.
so if you mix leather, petrol, smoke, a bit of wood, you mix all that together, Band-Aid, you mix all that together and it just makes the most delicious drink that you can consume. So,
and by the way, folks, don't try this at home.
So the one I'm in the mood for at the moment is actually called Octomore. So
Oh.
Octomore is about 63% alcohol, and it's like mixing sweetness with ashtray, and it's so good. So I think this weekend I'm going to celebrate our 10th episode. Would you believe, Paul, this is episode number 10.
10.
I should have had the Octomore with me right now. This
Yeah.
is episode number 10. Can you believe it? This has been a lifelong dream to put together this podcast, and we have survived 10 episodes and haven't been taken off the air. By the way, we're on Spotify, YouTube, and all other popular podcast networks.
And we're also on Facebook and Instagram. So look up Onboard For Delivery. You'll find us right there.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of technology news, is there anything that you're looking at the moment, Paul? Any particular products, or are you still done? Or are there any particular products you're looking at purchasing in the coming weeks?
Well, I'm not personally looking at any other products other than, I lie, I am looking at another product. In light of the new fact that Nvidia have released graphics cards, if I do end up upgrading to a better graphics card, I am also, Phil, going to have to upgrade my motherboard, and I'm going to have to upgrade my RAM and all the components. I'm not going to bore you with this, but all the components to my computer. Unfortunately, none of those things will fit in the case that I've got my computer in, so I have to upgrade that. So pretty much have to upgrade to a new computer. Now, obviously, working with videography as we are, I'll need that computer to be able to run 4K or 8K graphics effectively and smoothly. So, I mean, you've got a computer, Tim, that's a few years old now. Is upgrading a computer on the horizon?
Yeah, I've got an iMac from 2012, so it's
Apple?
eight years old. 8 years old, and it's basically, it handles everything I need fine.
Yeah.
You know, you can look up www.whateverit.com, and it handles all the videos. You can have so many windows open at once. You can go from video to video to video, look up any particular topic that you want, if you know what I mean, and it handles it beautifully. The screen can wipe clean, and it's fantastic. But I do need more power, Paul, because I'm wanting to film in 4K, and we attempted that during the week, and it just grinded my computer to a halt. It couldn't handle 4K. It was just too much for it. So yeah, so I am looking at potentially upgrading the computer in the coming months, after I save a little bit of money. So if you've got any ideas on what would make the perfect video editing machine, please let me know, because I mean a lot of computers out there are for games. They've got great video cards and heaps of RAM and so forth, and a lot of that might be very similar. That might be similar specs to what you need if you're doing video editing, but I don't really need all the 3D performance, but I do need some memory on the motherboard, also on the video cards. So I don't know if you've got any suggestions, Paul, given this is a tech podcast and we are technology experts.
Well, look, the first thing I would do is contact Phil. He seems to be an expert in this arena. That's what I'll be doing, Tim. I'll be giving Phil a call and asking him for his advice on what's next around the corner, because you don't want to upgrade a computer now and then find out in 3 months there's a better iMac or a better PC coming out. So shout out to Phil. Give him a call. Phil, if you're listening, thumb us down below and comment on what you think Tim should upgrade to. So you've got an iMac now. Would you be looking, I know that it's very early days in the process, but would you be looking at upgrading another iMac, or would you be getting a PC, do you think, this time?
I think I'll go PC. Yeah, there's no real advantage to having an iMac. I mean, I've got my iMac on top of my wrestling books. So the Mankind wrestling book is holding up my iMac. The webcam is atrocious on the iMac. I think that in the latest version, they've finally upgraded to 1080p. All other versions prior to the latest iMac, which only just got released about a month ago, all had a 720p webcam, and mine is atrocious. So that's just not good enough. I'm pissed. I can't do it as well as Paul. Tim's pissed. Doesn't quite have the same ring.
Tim's tantrum.
Tim Tam.
Tim
Tams.
Tams.
Yeah.
Choc coated or chocolate coated? We'll have to find out on the next episode.
Yeah. So I think I'll go PC. I need the power.
Yeah.
I need the balls. You know what I mean? You just need the balls when it comes to video editing computers.
But if you are going to get a PC, Tim, and you are going to look up unruly things, you do need to invest in a good antivirus system.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do?
Tip.
I'm going to buy that video card. I don't even play games. But I'm going to buy that video card just to piss
Well, actually,
Paul
Tim,
off.
I've got a video card for sale. If you like, I've got an Nvidia 2080 card. It's, in fact, currently, it's top of the range. And I'm thinking of getting something new. So if you want to buy mine, maybe check with Phil first to make sure that it's the right one for you. So, Tim, with Christmas just around the corner, I asked one of my kids, Owen, what he wanted for Christmas. And one thing he said to me is, I really want an iPod. And my first thought was, do they still make iPods? I haven't seen an iPod for years.
I don't know if they do. I had a feeling they stopped making them a couple of years ago because the phone has all the iPod functionality.
Yeah.
So I don't think they still make iPods.
I mean, they were cutting edge back in the day.
I was actually chatting with a guy from work, Peter. So shout out to Peter if you're watching. So we were talking about back in the day, and he was mentioning he bought an iRiver. Like back in the early days.
iRiver, I used to sell them at Dick Smith.
Yeah.
They were basically a poor man's iPod.
Yeah.
So when you couldn't afford an iPod, you got an iRiver.
Yeah.
Well, they were great though. They were fantastic.
Yep.
Good little device.
So the iRivers and
Little MP3 player.
and before that, I did have a cassette, like a Walkman, and then the Discman. The Discmans never worked.
Oh, because they jump around too much.
Yeah, like what's the point of you got this Discman that's portable? You can walk around with it, but as soon as you walk and make any kind of bumping movement, like walking, it would just cut out. Like it just made no sense. And then, so we had iRivers, and Apple got into the mix as well. And I was working at a retail company, a big national, maybe even international, I think national retail company, and they had the exclusive rights to the Apple iPod. And I remember we had an all-staff day, and the director got up in front of everyone and showed us the statistics. And he showed that, this store sold 1 iPod this month, and this store in the middle of Melbourne sold 4 iPods. And I'm thinking, who's buying these things? Like this little music device that costs $500, who's buying this? Like it's just, I did not believe it would take off. So, we're the technology experts, given that this is a tech podcast. We are the technology experts, and we should normally be able to foresee what's going to happen. But I was like, this is just a dud. Just get rid of the thing. I thought it had no future at all. And then that was probably 2001, 2002. And then, 2007, they put the iPod into a phone. It became a mass storage device. You could put all your files on it and transfer
Internet,
them.
everything.
Yeah, added the communication. Yeah, so things changed. Yeah, actually, have you seen the original the original iPhone presentation that Steve Jobs did back in 2007?
Yeah, I watched it just the other day, actually.
Okay.
I was watching it. I don't know why I was watching it the other day, but I love how he was presenting, and he said, it flashed up as a phone, and then flashed up as a music player, then flashed up as a internet communications device, as he called it.
Yeah.
And it goes phone, music, communications device, phone, music, communications device, and then it started to sort of morph into one. And the Apple crowd, as we know, where Apple always release things that aren't very innovative, aren't very new, but everyone who has an Apple thinks they are the newest thing ever, me included. Thought it was the best thing ever. It's great.
Yeah, it's one of those iconic moments.
Yeah.
And I think in Australia, we didn't even get the first iPhone.
No, we didn't. No.
I think it was
iPhone 2.5 or something.
Yeah, it took a while to even get here. And that was...
Well, yeah. So I actually worked at a phone shop when the first iPhone came out. And I was over in Thailand at the time, if you know what I mean, with Mum. And visiting our cousin over there who was working for Mazda. And he had one of the first... He had the first iPhone. It was like an iPhone 2.2G or something. It wasn't even 3G. And he was showing me the weather and the apps and all this cool stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. But, it wasn't in Australia, so I didn't really care about it. But then I started working at Crazy John's, who was obviously a big phone company. They've just been bought out by Vodafone many years ago. So for those listening who haven't heard of them, that's why. And I was there on day one release of the iPhone 3G. And I bought it. I couldn't help myself. It was the best phone ever. But now, it looks like I wouldn't even use it as a paperweight.
Yeah.
It's just it's ugly. It was like green and shy. It was just gross. But back then it was amazing.
Have you noticed, Paul? There's a thing like it's whenever there's new technology, there's always the excitement. You go through this life cycle. There's always the excitement. And you're just lusting after it. You just can't wait to get it in your pocket, if you know what I mean. And you just can't wait to get it. And then you get it, and there's the elation and the excitement once you get it. And then about 2 years later, you just can't wait to get rid of it. It's just taking up space. It's annoying you. There's a guy at work.
Sounds like The Bachelor, Tim.
Yeah. There's a guy at work, Simon, Didders, as he's better known as.
Simon
and
says.
I remember he had an LG phone, and he would purposely drop it just so it would break, so it'd give him an excuse to buy a new one or get something different. He was trying to destroy it. So I think that's the life cycle that everyone goes through. You're so excited, you get it, and then 2 years later, you just can't wait to get rid of it. It's taking up space. You're trying to destroy it. You're hoping it goes wrong. So that's That's what we deal with. Or in the case of Paul with his video card, 2 months later. Can't wait to get rid of the damn thing.
Well, Phil, if you're out there, I'll sell it to you if you want it. So shout out to TJ, who is a listener of the podcast. And I was having a chat to him the other day. I used to work with TJ back at Crazy John's in Ballarat. And we just started reminiscing of old times. And we're talking about the old Motorola V3, which was the old Razr phone. And we had a good old chat for about an hour and a half just about old technology and, you know, things like that. And it's just so exciting I love reminiscing on old times and technology. But in fact, Motorola just released a new Razr phone. So, you know, the flip phones that are really thin. Now, we sold them back at Telstra, at Crazy John's, a Telstra dealer, on a $20 plan. So you pay $20 per month and you get this Motorola Razr flip phone. It's great. And a new one just got released recently, and I thought, I'll look it up because a bit of nostalgia. Maybe I might want to upgrade to that next time. It was close to $3,000. I could have bought 2 or 3 brand new Nvidia graphics cards for that price. But I can't believe how expensive it is now for a phone that is so old. But the reason it is so expensive is because they rely on the nostalgia of people that used to have one. And that's what they're going for. So there is something to say for nostalgic memories and what they mean to us and things like that.
And I reckon of that $3,000, I reckon $1,000 of that dollars is they probably put into technology to make the phone as slippery as possible. What is it with new phones? They make them like soap. They try to make it slippery and soapy, so you just get it and it just flicks out of your hand, if you know what I mean. And what is it with phones these days?
Yeah, well, because I just upgraded my iPhone the other day, and like, okay, 1, why do they make them so slippery? But 2, why do they make them look so nice? Because you're just going to put them in a cover anyway, because you have to put them in a cover so you don't break the damn things. Yeah. But they are so slippery.
There's only 2 things in this world that you really want slippery. One's a slippery slide. And so, Paul, it frustrates me. Like, they should make it grippy, if you know what I mean. So,
well, they did.
It should be like
there was a tradie phone that was grippy. And it was made of rubber, and it was just people used to bring them into work, and they weren't working. They were broken for whatever reason. And they're like, "Yeah, mate, take good care of it, mate. I don't even, mate. There's nothing wrong, mate. It's not my fault. It's Telstra, mate." And we'd open it up, and it would just be like caked with concrete and dust and pubic hairs and just the most disgusting things ever. And like you're scraping the SIM card. It's terrible.
Sounds like a night of Tindering at my place. So, Paul, on that note, the tech podcast that brings you all the latest news, tech news, debates.
And next week we might even bring a maths debate.
And dad jokes. So on that note, I think it's time to say goodnight, Paul, because it's getting extremely late. And we're going to have a special guest very soon. We're so excited about it. We're both, you can only see us from the waist up. We're both nursing semis. So on that note, for Onboard For Delivery, whenever I try to make something sound serious, I bugger it up. Every time.
Not only are we nursing semis, Tim, but you've also got pajama pants on. I've just realised in the photo. So from up here and up, you've got, nice business suit kind of businessman attire. But from there down, you're pretty much having a party of your own. But that's all for
monkey pajamas. They are actually got monkeys on them. Would you believe?
Thank you for joining us on Onboard For Delivery. Until next time, good night.
That's a wrap.
Excellent.